Good evening. It is Sunday, the 1st of August, and I am back from UK Games Expo, back in the Read Nook with a nice hot cup of tea, which is what everyone who volunteered or worked UK Games Expo 2021 certainly deserves after what was a very busy weekend, dealing with essentially the whole event and then ensuring everyone was safe. Basically in this time of the pandemic, ensuring that everybody essentially wore their mask and had basically proof that they had been either vaccinated or had a negative test. So these videos are so much unboxings in the Nook as unbaggings in the Nook. I've already done one for the board games that I brought back from the convention. A couple of them I've definitely got to review. The others that I would like to review at some point. So now what I'm going to talk about now is some of the role-playing titles that I brought back, which essentially are small press. And there were quite a few small press publishers there, small 1 or 2 person groups who have brought their games to the convention. And because it was a smaller convention with about a third of the size, and bigger aisles, and also essentially wider aisles, and about half the footfall, there was a bit more room for people to basically circulate and breathe and see everything, and for people to look at their games. So what did I get? Well, first off, I got this, and I'm not going to tell you what this is because it's a friend for a friend, and he will get it in due course. The first thing I got was this is the Desanction, basically a role-playing game, the box set which they did for the Expo as a special edition, and this is number 32, and inside there you've got like the core rules, a journal, the character sheet, and a book of adventures, 3 of them, most of which were released via the Kickstarter, and essentially, as you can see, special edition. And I will come back to this one definitely because essentially it's in a box and I can unbox it. And also won the Judges Award for the event, the best role-playing game. And then a couple of issues of Senet, which is a magazine about board games, and this will go into my magazine Madness strand, and there is you've got lots of things in here. It's nice and colourful. Just see, this is just issue 1, and you can see the layout. That's really nice and tidy, and I will certainly come back to that. I've got to review those, so looking forward to that, and that sort of thing. Then we have the Player's Guide and Director's Guide for a role-playing game of personal horror called Locus. Okay. So I will probably do that one after the other, and I think this will be interesting to look at. Lovely pair, nice guys I was talking to, very generous, and as I say, I appreciate everybody, literally giving me free stuff. And the other point is that it is free, but I go away and I write about it, and they support my writing and my reviews, and then in return I write what the best thing I can think about this game. Basically I give it my best for every single one, and say, essentially why you should buy this. Next up is from the Great GM, Bounty Hunter Core Rules, which is a diceless role-playing game, and I love the look at this. Look at this inside. So here we go. Really nice, tidy layout. It's just and it's interesting that it's diceless, especially in this year. Essentially, it is the 40th year since Umbra diceless role-playing game, the first one to come out that was diceless, and somebody's doing it again 40 years later on. Pure coincidence, of course. And then from Manic Prod and Anima Press, we have the Isle of Glaslyn, a hex-crawl adventure for Old School Essentials by Panagiotis, Linus and Alec Lawler, and it's sort of fold out like that, and like that, and then it folds all the way out. Okay, get this right, because these things sort of like, I always get slightly confused about that. Essentially, they sit like that, and one side sort of like the GM, and one side is for the players, and that's really kind of clever. So, little adventure for old school essentials. Also from Anima Studios is a introductory role-playing game called Mutants, or Mutants, essentially cats with superpowers, which is fine. I do like silly things like that, because I'm sure the cat's got some superpowers. Then also from Anima Press and Manic Prod, essentially is this Shadow of Mog, essentially empty, alone, hungry, anxious. Shadow of Mog is a post-Brexit tabletop role-playing game set after the event. Do not think about the event. You play as a Democratic Party who survived the event and subsist in the subterranean underground network beneath the former city of London. All your decisions are made and resolved by the party for the party. Will your party prosper or succumb to the tunnels? So I have read this because it's basically been in my bag since I'm going back and forth to the convention and home, and this is a satire on consensus politics and a certain big event last year, and I'm not referring to COVID, although that does kind of figure a bit. Let's see, Leviathan Rising, which is an Enlightenment punk fate-powered role-playing game set during the 18th century. I'll dig into that at some point soon. I didn't see who that's from. I'll just have a look. Does it say anywhere? Doesn't. I can't see who the publisher is. That's weird. Next we have you see Umbra, which is a solo game of Final Frontiers. It's a solo tactical drawing game that puts you in control of an extraterrestrial colony as you fight against starvation, the void, and multitudes of awful creatures waiting under the planet's surface. So this is a journaling game, and I've got several of these from the publisher. This is the science fiction one, and Rise of Gamers Spreading Evil. It does the same thing, but it's a fantasy one. Basically, it's about a dungeon. And then Delve does the same, basically a bit like Rise, but it's about a dwarven hold, which it's the inhabitants are digging deeper into the world. So there have been quite a few journaling games, most notably 1000 Year Vampire, and I looked at Eerie, the solo game of Countryside Horror, a couple of weeks ago, and these are variants upon that, so they can be played on their own, home. And Apothecaria, again, this is from Blackwell Games. They're all from Blackwell Games, by the way. And this is a solo potion making games. And this is a bit more colourful, so like that, or like that. What's next? Warlock Kingdom. I've reviewed both Warlock and King and Warpstar from Fire Ruby Designs, and if you are looking for a very simple kind of treatment of a Warhammer world and a role-playing game with a Warhammer feel, then Warlock is exactly what you want. It's really simple and plays fast, and Kingdom provides a setting for it. Next, we have Critical Hit Kit Limited has done a number of D&D scenarios. These are very thin, now, or I should say they're very short, but they're nicely produced, so there we go. This one is Chill Factor Icy Adventure for 5th edition. So these adventures are 5th edition, and that's a great market to be aiming your titles at the moment, certainly, and for ongoing, because 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is very popular. And these were basically £3 each. So that's an Icy Adventure. We have a bit thicker one, which is a Fairy Tale Murder Mystery, a again for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So that's Macbeth. We have Lady Trevant's Bones, remove a necromancer from an ancient tomb in its... There we go. Dark Age of Roscoe, a missing captain and ancient evil in this adventure. Basically, they have to go into a swamp after a missing captain of the guard. And again, these are quite short. They're designed to be played in a single session, perhaps 2 at the very most. They're very straightforward, essentially. Yeah, nice, clean, simple thing you can bring to the table with relatively low preparation. Then City of the 100 Ships, the scenario of Political Intrigue of 5th edition. Again, yep. Next time they're saying the long night at the Spur, help an Orc rancher protect his herd, which is going to be a bit different because essentially orcs are generally regarded as evil in the OSE. We have again essentially. I've already showed you this is Shadow of Mog, but this is the special edition, the Shadow of Bozza. By the names Shadow of Bozza, Shadow of Mog, you may get an idea of essentially what those games are like. If you are British, because this game is brutally British, it does need essentially a glossary at the back explaining some of the terms, and even then it doesn't explain everything. If you're British, you're going to get this. If you're not, some of it will elude you. Next we see End of Kings, Nature of the Beast, which is a scenario from Montidot Limited with Simon Todd. End of Kings is a 17th century set role-playing game, BLP-like from what I recall, set during the English Civil War, and it's aftermath. Essentially, the End of Kings basically upset the political and social apple cart, as it were. So that explores that, as does this longer scenario, A Plague on Their Houses. Another scenario for End of Kings. Now I've not reviewed End of Kings, partly because I was waiting for Simon to take it to Kickstarter, because he was planning to do that and he hasn't yet. But I had it sat there, I had read it, I wanted to write a review of it, but I wanted to write a review of it essentially at a time that would have suited him rather than necessarily me. And then lastly we have the Ravenstoney first level adventure of old school fantasy, again by Montidot. Basically there's just the map there, nice, really clean, tidy maps. Where are we? There's got to be something of his in here, because actually there isn't. I am slightly disappointed by that, so I'll have a look in the other book, because Simon's an artist as much as he is an author. He's actually more of an artist than an author, and his artwork is fantastic. If you've had a look at any of the Montidot's content before, then I thoroughly recommend these books. And then of course Banquet Dust is set in the Limbo setting, which essentially takes you to Limbo, being the sort of the place between sort of basically on the doorstep of hell, and you explore it and basically find out essentially it's full of dust and decay and so on, and there are strange things going on in there, and you'll have a chance to experience those in this scenario. So yeah, it's just there's some of that in there. I mean, generally he's a good artist and does nice maps, and it's great to see him every time. So that's sort of the small press titles that I will be reviewing over the course of the next few months. As I said, I want to thank every one of the different publishers who provided me with content to review. Each of those books will be reviewed in due course. I will and essentially shine a spotlight on each of them They've all been very generous, and I can't thank them enough. Anyway, so I do hope you've enjoyed this unbagging in the Nook. If you have, please click the like button, and if you want to see sort of like some of these books sort of like properly examined, I may well do unboxings of some of them in the near future. Then, you know, basically do subscribe, and you'll be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook. Again, thanks for watching, and hope you've got a nice hot cup of tea. Bye for now.